Detach or be destroyed. That's not a warning. That's a law, one that governs the real world, the one they don't teach you about. According to Machiavelli, power belongs to the man who sees clearly and feels selectively, not the man who reacts, not the man who hopes, but the one who cuts away everything he cannot command. You think your emotions make you human. Number. They make you predictable, weak, easy to control. The moment you obsess over outcomes you don't own, you've already surrendered. The storm doesn't care that you're tired. The wolves don't care that you're kind. And the throne, it was never meant for the man still seeking fairness. You want real freedom. Then you must rip yourself away from anything that pulls you like a puppet. People, praise, pity, even love. Because the man who detaches is the man they can't manipulate. Stay with me. Because what follows is not for the average mind. It's for the one ready to become untouchable. Comment this if you're done being owned. I move like a shadow, unseen, unaffected, unstoppable. Part 1. Power begins where emotion ends. You want power? Then understand this first. Control is not given, it's seized. And the first enemy you must conquer is yourself. The man who seeks to control others but is still ruled by his own impulses is nothing more than a slave in a king's robe. You get angry, you lash out. You get sad, you fold. You feel ignored, and suddenly your whole identity collapses. That's not power. That's emotional dependency dressed up in ego. Detach or be dismantled. According to Machiavelli, the ruler who survives isn't the one with the most love, but the one with the most leverage. And leverage comes from clarity, not kindness. It comes from strategy, not sentiment. It comes from learning to stand in the fire without flinching. Power begins the moment you stop needing to explain yourself. The moment you realize that your emotions are not sacred. They're tools. You sharpen them, you aim them, or you cut them out. Because if your mood controls your mind, someone else controls your fate. Most people are chained by things they cannot control. Others' opinions, the past, the future, the need to be liked. They're drowning in illusions. And when they finally realize it, it's too late. Life has already passed them by, quietly laughing. But you're here for something else. You want to become untouchable. Then learn this. Emotion is data, not direction. You feel it, then you weaponize it, or you discard it. Because in the real game, the man who cannot detach gets destroyed. Comment this below if you're ready to shed your weakness. I command myself. Nothing else commands me. Part 2. Control is a silent art. Control isn't loud. It's not screaming orders or flexing muscles. Real control is quiet, invisible until it strikes. It's the man in the room who says the least but watches the most. While others speak to be heard, he listens to gain ground. You see, weak men obsess over being understood. Strong men understand. They don't broadcast emotions, they weaponize silence. According to Machiavelli, a ruler must be both lion and fox, forceful when needed, deceptive when necessary. But both creatures know when to wait. You want to rule your world. Then master restraint. Let others act on impulse while you calculate in shadow. The average man is addicted to reaction. Someone insults him, he flares. Someone doubts him, he defends. It's pathetic. Every reaction is a rope, and they're hanging themselves with it. But not you. You will become unreadable, unshakable. You'll learn to delay your response until it hits with precision. Because timing is everything. The man who controls when and how he moves doesn't just survive, he dominates. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're passive. Let them drown in noise while you sharpen your silence into a blade. You don't need the spotlight to win. You need discipline behind the scenes. You need the patience to watch a man unravel while you remain still. That stillness, that's power. That's the mark of a man who's not driven by ego but by intent. While others waste energy defending their pride, you conserve yours like a weapon in the sheath, unsheathed only when the strike guarantees victory. Restraint is not weakness. Restraint is psychological warfare. And in a world that exposes everything, the man who keeps his cards hidden becomes the most dangerous piece on the board. Comment this if you're ready to control in the shadows. I move last, and I move with precision. Part 3. Emotion is the bait. Detachment is the weapon. Every empire that crumbled began with a single indulgence, a moment where emotion overruled logic, a flash of pride, a thirst for validation, a desperate need to be seen. And in that second, they lost the throne. Understand this, the world is a stage built on manipulation, and most people are dancing to music they didn't even choose. Their buttons are out in the open, easy to push, easy to predict, easy to break. You, on the other hand, must become unreadable, detached, calculated. And that doesn't mean numb, it means in control. You don't ignore pain, you study it. You don't deny fear, you master it. You don't suppress your rage. You store it, refine it, and unleash it only when it serves your strategy. Because in this world, emotion is the bait and detachment is the weapon. The more emotionally invested you are in things outside your command, the more power you bleed. You think love, loyalty, and trust will shield you. If they're unearned or blind, they'll gut you. The man who gives too much of himself to forces beyond his reach becomes their servant. But the man who observes before he engages, who pulls back before he gives, who plays the long game without exposing his core, that man becomes untouchable. Machiavelli didn't preach cruelty, he preached clarity. And the clearest truth is this: the less you need, the more power you hold. So audit your attachments, strip away the distractions, reclaim the parts of yourself you've handed over to people who never earned them. Because when nothing owns you, nothing can break you. They can try to shame you, guilt you, seduce you, but you'll move like a ghost through their traps. Cold, aware, in total command. They'll call you heartless. Let them. They confuse control with cruelty because they've never experienced discipline. They beg to be seen. You watch. They react. You prepare. Detachment isn't avoidance. It's dominance without the noise. It allows you to hold the dagger while they play with illusions. It is what separates the strategist from the casualty. When you detach from outcomes, you don't become careless, you become free. When you master detachment, your enemies lose leverage, your rivals lose entry points, and those who try to control you will find nothing to grab. Comment this if you're ready to cut the strings. No one owns my mind, no one pulls my strings. Part 4. The price of being untouchable. You say you want to be untouchable. Then let me warn you. You're asking for isolation. Not the fake kind where you turn off your phone for an hour. I mean the real kind. The kind where you start walking paths most men are too afraid to even look at. The kind where you cut ties with your old self and everyone who benefited from his weakness. You think the world wants you strong. It wants you obedient, predictable, soft enough to manipulate, but just tough enough to function. So when you stop chasing approval, when you stop playing nice, they'll notice, and they won't like it. Your silence will offend them. Your discipline will insult them. Your detachment will feel like betrayal. But let them talk. Because you don't build fortresses with fragile hands or polite words. You build them with ruthless boundaries, emotional control, and the willingness to be hated. That's the price. You don't get to be feared and loved. Pick one. And if you're smart, you'll choose fear, because it lasts longer. Machiavelli knew this. Fear protects power. Love only invites expectation. The minute people think they own a piece of you, they'll try to control the whole. So strip it back. Become useful, but never available. Present, but never exposed. Commanding, but never desperate. Make your presence felt, then disappear before they start thinking they deserve it. The man who's always around, always explaining himself, always begging to be seen, that man is already conquered. But the man who keeps his circle small, his movements quiet, and his emotions unreadable, that man becomes legend. That man becomes a myth. And myths don't bleed. They haunt, they linger, they dominate without having to raise their voice. You don't owe the world your warmth. You don't owe anyone your inner world. What you owe is loyalty to your purpose. And if you ever find yourself having to choose between being liked and being in control, choose control every time. Because when the smoke clears, respect remains, fear remains, power remains. The rest? It was all noise. And once you accept that silence is your ally and solitude is your sanctuary, you stop needing the noise at all. You no longer explain your absence. You make your absence powerful. You no longer soften your truth. You deliver it with precision. Detachment earns enemies, yes, but it also earns freedom. Comment this if you're ready to embrace the cost. Let them misunderstand me. I'd rather be feared than forgotten. Part 5. Burn the illusion of fairness. If you're still waiting for life to be fair, stop. That belief alone is the leash around your neck. The world isn't just unfair, it's cold, calculating, and brutally indifferent. It doesn't care how hard you tried, how good your intentions were, or how much pain you've endured. It cares about one thing: results. And that's where weak men crumble. They think fairness is a law of nature, when it's nothing but a fantasy sold to keep you docile. Let me make it clear, there is no fairness, only leverage. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you can take, what you can hold, and what you can defend. The man who understands this doesn't complain. He adapts. He doesn't cry about his position. He builds a new one. He bends reality through force, strategy, and cold self-discipline. You think kings rose to power by playing fair? They rose because they saw the board for what it is, a battlefield, not a daycare. The rules are illusions. The game is survival. So stop playing it like a boy. You owe nothing to fairness. What you owe is loyalty to your mission, your vision, and the future you're carving out of stone. Stop looking for justice. Start demanding outcomes. Stop asking for what's right, and start executing what's effective. Fairness is how the weak argue. Power is how the strong act. You want to elevate? Then you must become ruthlessly objective. Emotion clouds judgment. Principles without precision become prisons. If you want to win, you need to cut through the fog and see reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Burn the script they handed you. Rewrite your code. Program yourself for clarity, not comfort, for strength, not sympathy. Because once you eliminate the lie of fairness, you become unstoppable. You stop expecting the world to hand you anything, and you start taking responsibility for everything. That mindset, unshakable, unforgiving, unrelenting, is what separates the hunted from the hunter. The man still waiting for fairness is a man waiting for permission. But the man who moves through life with zero expectation of kindness, who faces resistance with calculation, who sees cruelty and chooses to evolve, not complain, that man becomes inevitable. He plays to win, not to be liked. He doesn't waste time crying over rigged systems. He creates new systems, stacked in his favor. Because in this life, no one is coming to level the playing field. So level yourself up until the field doesn't matter. Comment this if you're done waiting for life to be fair. I don't expect fairness. I create advantage. Part 6. The death of validation. The fastest way to stay weak is to keep chasing validation. And make no mistake, most men are addicts, addicted to applause, addicted to attention, addicted to being seen, praised, accepted. They post, they flex, they talk too much, all because deep down, they still need the world to tell them they matter. But here's the truth that crushes egos. The man who needs validation is already beneath the one who doesn't. The moment your worth depends on a reaction outside of yourself, you're no longer a man. You're a product, a puppet, a slave dressed in designer armor. You wake up, scroll for hits of approval. You speak carefully, afraid of rejection. You mold yourself to what they'll clap for. But a man building power? He doesn't chase eyes. He disappears into his grind. He isn't performing, he's constructing, brick by brutal brick. While others live for likes, he lives for leverage. While others seek comfort in consensus, he sharpens his isolation into focus. You see, when you stop needing applause, something wild happens. You become dangerous. No one can cancel you because they never made you. No one can shame you because you own your flaws. No one can control you because your value isn't up for negotiation. This is the death of validation. It's a funeral for your weakness. And most people can't handle that death. They cling to praise like oxygen. But you're here to bury that version of yourself. The nice guy, the approval seeker, the people pleaser. Kill him, mourn nothing, because the man who rises in his place will walk through fire, alone, and come out forged. You want real strength? Then detach from recognition, operate in silence. Let them talk, let them wonder, let them assume you've fallen off until the day your results slap the world across the face. Machiavelli warned us, appearances matter, but attachment to reputation is suicide. The smart ruler uses perception but never depends on it. You don't need people to like you. You need them to respect your silence and fear your precision. That's the trade-off. You'll be misunderstood. You'll be called cold, arrogant, emotionless. Let them say it. Let them project their weakness onto your discipline, because while they seek to be liked, you'll become legendary. Validation is cheap. Power is expensive. Let them spend their lives chasing the crowd. You disappear and build something the crowd will one day bow to. Burn the need to be understood. Replace it with the need to dominate quietly. Because when they finally realize how far you've gone, it'll be too late to catch up. By then, you'll be untouchable. Not because they didn't want you, but because you stopped needing them. Comment this if you're done begging for approval. I validate myself. Results are my proof. Part 7. The myth of balance and the power of obsession. They tell you to seek balance, moderation, harmony, as if the path to greatness is found in lukewarm effort and half-measured desire. But here's the reality. Balance is a lie sold by those who never had the strength to go all in. The world doesn't reward the balanced, it rewards the obsessed, the man willing to bleed, starve, and burn for what he wants. The man who forgets comfort, sacrifices convenience, and gives up every shallow pleasure in pursuit of something far more dangerous. Dominion. Balance is the language of the average. It's the soothing lullaby sung to men too scared to offend, too soft to commit, and too scattered to dominate. Obsession is the war cry of those who intend to bend the world. You think Machiavelli believed in balance? He believed in leverage, in outcomes, in the cold discipline of doing whatever it takes. You want to build a mind they can't break, a presence they can't ignore, a life they can't copy. Then you must kill distraction and marry obsession. That means long nights when others sleep. That means ignoring calls, texts, birthdays, drama. It means silence, sacrifice, solitude. Not because you're antisocial, but because you're locked in. Because you're sculpting something sacred. Because you refuse to live a disposable life. Let the masses preach balance while they settle for mediocrity. You'll become the kind of force that makes balance irrelevant. The kind of man who walks into a room and changes the air. That doesn't come from dabbling, it comes from devouring every inch. Office your craft, of your mission, of yourself, and yes, it'll cost you. People will fall away, comfort will vanish. But what you gain is something no one can hand you. Edge, precision, fire. While others fear burnout, you'll burn brighter. While they balance plates, you'll sharpen swords. Let them be well-rounded. Let them chase moderation like it's a trophy. You're building a legacy, not a lifestyle. You're constructing a mental fortress that no crisis can shake. And that only comes from obsession. Pure, focused, relentless obsession. Obsession is what turns time into a weapon. While others are distracted, you're building. While they waste hours convincing themselves they're busy, you're eliminating weakness by the minute. You want a sharp mind, burn the fat, cut the noise, the gossip, the endless consumption. You want an edge? Stop living for weekends. The obsessed man doesn't count days, he builds momentum. He's not trying to balance ambition with distraction, he's trying to conquer. He doesn't want a break, he wants a throne. And he'll keep moving until he gets one. Because while balance asks for rest, obsession commands results. This is why the world bows to the obsessed. They're inevitable. The rest were just waiting for permission. Comment this if you're done with moderation. I reject balance, I master obsession. Part 8. Master the art of emotional distance. To rule yourself is to be ruthless with your emotions, not to suppress them, but to command them, to put them on a leash, and remind them who the master is. Most men walk around as emotional hostages. Stimulus hits and they react like animals, angry, offended, desperate to explain, quick to defend, predictable, exposed, weak. But the man who wins doesn't react. He absorbs, calculates, and responds only when it serves his agenda. That's emotional distance, and it's a weapon sharper than steel. It's what allows you to watch betrayal and remain still, to hear lies and offer silence, to take an insult and smile, because the real kill doesn't come from reaction, it comes from precision. You want to be untouchable? Then stop expecting emotional justice. Stop waiting for closure, for apologies, for someone to validate your feelings. Those are crumbs for the powerless. The man who wants to control the board doesn't need emotional resolution. He needs results. Distance gives you that. It's how you move while others spiral. It's how you focus while they drown in gossip, emotion, and petty wars. It's how you maintain leverage in a world addicted to reaction. Emotional distance isn't coldness, it's control. And yes, it'll make people uncomfortable. They'll call you robotic, detached, soulless. Good. That means they can't figure you out. That means you're doing it right. The world expects men to bleed on command, to open up, spill their fears, expose their hearts like it's a therapy session. But a king doesn't bleed publicly. He doesn't break in front of those who want to use his weakness as a weapon. A king feels everything, but he reveals nothing. That's power. Learn to be unshaken when chaos erupts. Learn to pause when they provoke. Learn to see the storm and calmly walk through it. That's not numbness. That's warfare. Your enemies, your rivals, even people close to you, they're watching for cracks. They want to know what gets to you. The moment they see it, they'll use it. But if you've trained yourself to feel without acting, to care without needing, to observe without attachment, you become invisible to manipulation, unreadable, inevitable. This isn't about being less human, it's about evolving beyond reaction. Emotional distance is how you stay lethal in a world built to disarm you. So when they lie to you, disappoint you, disrespect you, pause, calculate. Act only when the timing is yours, not theirs. You control the tempo, you control the damage. That's the game. Comment this if you're done bleeding for the unworthy. I observe everything. I react to nothing. Part 9. When you become the storm. There comes a point in a man's life when he stops fearing the storm and realizes he is the storm. No more waiting for favorable conditions. No more hoping the world will play fair. No more bending himself to fit in with sheep who were born to kneel. This is the threshold where average men evaporate and something far more dangerous takes shape. It's when your mind sharpens into a weapon, when your presence alone begins to silence rooms, when people start adjusting their tone around you, not because you've threatened them, but because they feel your discipline radiating like cold steel. This version of you doesn't explain, doesn't beg, doesn't chase. He moves with intent. He builds without permission. He lets people underestimate him because he understands one brutal truth. Power grows in silence. It's not loud, it's not emotional, it's not performative. It's silent, strategic, and permanent. You don't get there by reading quotes or meditating under a tree. You get there by embracing the suffering others run from, by walking straight into discomfort, by choosing sacrifice over security again and again until your mind no longer flinches. You want to be respected, then be consistent. Be unshakable. Let your emotions scream behind locked doors while your face remains carved in stone. That's when they'll start watching you differently, not like a peer, but like a force, a problem, a presence. And they'll test you. They'll provoke, lie, try to make you feel something because most men are easy to unravel. But you don't unravel. You unnerve. That's when you've become the storm, not emotional chaos. That's what weak men become. You're the kind of storm that wipes out illusions, that rearranges power dynamics, that makes the ground shift under the feet of the complacent. Not because you yell, but because you show up different. Your eyes speak. Your discipline is a silent threat. You walk into a room and they feel your distance, your intensity, your presence. And the best part, you don't need to prove a damn thing, because your results already screamed what you refused to say. This is the man who no longer reacts to attacks, He studies them, stores them, weaponizes them. This is the man who doesn't chase love, validation, fairness, or peace. He chases clarity, position, power, and not the loud kind either, the quiet kind. The kind no one sees coming until it's already taken the throne. The world was never built for balance. It was built for dominance. And you don't dominate by being liked. You dominate by becoming inevitable. So stop softening your edges. Stop trying to be understood by people who will never think like you. Stop lowering your intensity to make the weak feel comfortable. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be remembered, etched into their memory as the storm they couldn't stop, the man they couldn't bend, the force they couldn't explain, and the secret. You didn't become this by accident. You chose this. You burned the old self. You killed the need for comfort. You forged yourself in silence. This is what happens when you stop trying to survive and start preparing to rule. Comment this if you're done playing small. I don't wait for the storm. I become it. Part 10. Become untouchable. Stay unreachable. Now we arrive at the final threshold, the point of no return. You've heard the truth, stripped of sugar, stripped of softness. And now, the question isn't can you handle it? It's will you become it? Because power isn't given to the man who wants it. It's taken by the man who's cold enough to walk away from everything he once thought mattered. That's the final evolution. Untouchable and unreachable. The untouchable man can't be baited, can't be manipulated, can't be emotionally hijacked. But the unreachable man, he's something else entirely. He's beyond influence, beyond opinion, beyond validation. He doesn't operate in the public arena. He moves through shadows with absolute clarity and lethal intent. He isn't led by trends or fears. He doesn't waver under pressure. He doesn't care if they clap or criticize, because he's not building for attention. He's building for dominion. The unreachable man has already buried the need to belong. He has replaced weakness with systems, noise with silence, emotion with discipline, and time, he bends it. While others waste it on distraction, he weaponizes it with precision. Understand this. If they can reach you, they can control you. If they can reach your emotions, your fears, your past, your ego, they own a piece of you. And that is unacceptable. So you must disappear from their control. You must move above their noise, not physically, but mentally. No longer playing their games, no longer justifying your moves, no longer responding to provocations designed to pull you back into mediocrity. The unreachable man plays long-term war in a short-term world, and he does it without flinching. That's where your mind needs to live now, not in reaction, but in architecture, in silence, in total command. Because once you're unreachable, you no longer compete. You eliminate competition by being unmatchable, by showing up differently, by seeing angles they don't, by doing what 99% of men are too fragile to sustain. Extreme self-governance. That's the edge. That's what they fear most. Not a man with strength, but a man with unshakable detachment. They fear the one they can't guilt, the one they can't seduce, the one they can't distract. And when they realize you are that man, they'll either try to follow you or fall away completely. Let them. Let the weak leave. Let the noise fade. Because from this moment on, you are no longer accessible to mediocrity. You are no longer reachable by emotional bait. You are no longer a prisoner to praise or rejection. You are a fortress with no doors, a mind with no leash, a will that bends for no man. They will wonder how you became this. They'll say you changed, that you've grown distant, cold, calculated, good. That means you've finally become who you were meant to be, untouchable, unreachable, unbreakable. Comment this if you've crossed the line of no return. I've detached from weakness. I've become the fortress. If this monologue ignited something in you, then make it permanent. Like the video, subscribe to Dark Power, turn on notifications. We're not here to be entertained. We're here to build minds they cannot break.